All right, we are live. We just had to come on to an emergency broadcast. The government's being taken over by crypto bros. Just one sec. Let me get my lighting set up here. Not gonna do anything. All right. This looks terrible. Got to get those bookshelves in there for book YouTube. Now I'm a book YouTuber. I just thought I'd get on real fast. Once again, I disabled the chat. I mean, the dude's not even in office yet, and they're already fucking up our lives, fucking up the government. To just say I told you so. That's why I'm getting on here. Just say I told you so. About Elon. I mean, we've been about everything. I mean, it's so frustrating having been harping and sounding the alarm and working hard on this. I mean, I do work hard on this. I mean, I'm a lazy person, I guess, and maybe my standards are loose, but like this is work. And I do try hard to like make good points and influence public opinion. Not that I guess the point of this, you don't really change anybody's mind, but like at least one of my regular audience is a Trumper. So not that we're necessarily having any effect on anything, but people do listen, and that's the best you can do. I mean, I think with politics especially, this is why it's so weird and ineffective the way that people have been using the internet, like Facebook statuses or Twitter is like you're constantly like using it to like make political points or like share some kind of persuasive like this argument about the issues of the day, and you just can't change people's minds, to be honest. I mean, people's politics are like ingrained in them by their parents or something. It's just like it's almost like a cultural affiliation or a religion almost as much as like oh, I'm gonna especially in this country where there's two options, and you're kind of put into these vague categories which are becoming it's a binary, really, right? I mean, that's why one reason it's not actually a surprise that the Republicans are basically males and the Democrats are basically everybody else at this point, because it's a binary, it's a polarity, and our country is polarized by gender. Uh, that's kind of the most obvious binary, I would say, in our country. And so maybe that's just the easiest way to separate people and get them, the women want what Democrats want, to share, to help people, to help the poor. Or at least that's the general idea, to help traditionally marginalized people, to uplift a plurality. It's about sympathy, it's about empathy, it's about uh the group. Republicans, it's about property, it's about uh borders, security, guns, Jesus, not killing babies, war, controlling women's bodies, small government conservative. I'm a small government, less spending, right? That's the theater, okay, of this fucking. First of all, Elon doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's gonna do to our country what he did to Twitter. Okay, look what he did to fucking Twitter. Not that people knew they were electing Elon Musk, although I'm sure a lot of the people that voted for Trump did so because they're Elon fanboys and they're capitalists and they liked that Elon was really supporting Trump and was on the campaign trail with him. And um if people were to watch my live streams, this wouldn't have happened. None of this would have happened if people just listened to me. But instead, I'm like this micro ant that nobody listens to. I'm pretty sure there's no women that watch my live stream other than Ashley, which, like, I don't know why I don't get through to women. I don't know why they don't like what I do. I don't know why all my fans are like closeted gay men. JK. We're just roasting, okay? We're in a roasting economy now, okay? So you better learn to roast. If you want a job, you better learn to roast. You better learn to fire. So look what Elon Musk did with Twitter. He fired everybody. He ruined it. He changed the name. Are we just going to change America to X? Let's just rename America X. Let's rename Mars Planet X. So he's going in like, oh, we need to cut all this spending, this government, whatever bill it is, to extend to not shut the federal government down. There's some spending bill they need to pass. And Elon Musk stepped in and said, if any Republicans vote for this, I will bankroll to primary you. Which, you know, obviously we need to point to Citizens United, which was a bill that was passed, I think, in like 2008 or something, around that time, that made it so there could be these super PACs and sort of unlimited campaign donations by anybody. So somebody like Elon Musk, this is one reason why deregulation and why there's reasons why there are these fucking rules and regulations and shit. There's reasons why you can't just donate unlimited fucking money to a political campaign. There's reasons why you can't own radio stations in different markets or whatever. There were regulations. The narrative in America has been government bad ever since Reagan. Government bad. This is what Elon thinks. Rand Paul, Ron Paul, just any getting rid of regulations, any cutting of spending. That's good because there's so much fucking government waste. And government, the government can't do anything effectively. But there's reasons why there are regulations about campaign finance and shit. It's so shit like this doesn't happen. It's so and taxing the rich. Up until Reagan, there was like a fucking 90% tax rate or something for rich people, and then they got rid of that. That is a way of keeping levity and keeping balance in a democracy. That's important, right? You can't just have one guy have as much money as the bottom half of people, and then he can just go in and buy the whole country for $130 million like it's nothing. Like it's buying a fucking burrito bowl. And he can just go in and break it like it's a fucking toy. That's what they want him to do. Twitter was the same thing. It's just like, oh, let me pay 45 billion for this. There's no consequences whatsoever. The guy just the stock market is able to materialize another $200 billion for this guy just out of nothing, just based on pure hype and pure fucking razzmatazz bullshit, cult belief in the idea that Tesla is going to save the fucking planet or whatever. These technologies he's developing rockets. It's all based on hypothetical value in the future. It's not even fucking a real company, really. At least things like that act like Apple, like with Apple, it's like we all use fucking iPhones, we all use fucking MacBooks. Like we all, people watch Apple fucking movies or whatever. Tesla, it's like the cars don't even fucking work. The Cybertruck doesn't even fucking work. It explodes if it rains. And these Tesla cars are not much better. They have to recall shitloads of them. You can't put the fire out. Every idea the guy has is fucking retarded. Okay? To speak to them on their own terms. A bunch of dumbasses think he's a genius because they're capitalists. He represents everything that they want. You know, just the total dominance of this kind of African, South African white apartheid wealth, chaos, hostile takeover, fire everybody. But it hasn't improved it. You know, X, uh, it served his purpose. You know what I mean? The idea was not to buy X, Twitter. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be calling it X. The idea was not to buy Twitter and like fix it for everybody. The idea was to buy it to basically own the media and influence. I mean, how many followers do Elon Musk have? It's like tens of, it's hundreds. I think it's 100 million at least. So the dude, anything he tweets, you know, it's going to be seen by 60 million fucking people or more. That's more than fucking MSDNC. That's more than fucking NBC. That's more than fucking the New York Times. And he used it to put Donald Trump in office and to buy the fucking government basically and to control public opinion. I mean, it was a very good deal for him. Even though he's completely ruined it for everybody else. I mean, I quit Twitter as soon as he bought it. I've been off for 2 fucking years. That's why it's frustrating because I've talked a lot about Elon Musk. I didn't think it would happen this quickly. I thought Elon was like the apprentice, you know, in the same way that Roy Cohen and Trump, right? Like that movie just came out. I thought Elon was like Trump's apprentice. We didn't realize Elon was going to completely upstage Trump and uh and Trump as it were and sort of steal the spotlight and be basically shadow running the fucking government because he owns all these Republicans because they're afraid of getting primaried. And so we have basically almost like an authoritarian leader who we didn't even elect, and a guy who owns basically 1/3 of the fucking media. Uh, you know, this is why there are fucking regulations. This is why there are fucking rules. This is why to prevent this kind of unbalance of fucking power. And all how can one man have all that power, right? That's something I've been thinking about. I know people hate Kanye and he's a MAGA guy. I wonder how he's feeling about. I mean, these guys don't think about politics. They don't think about the nuts and bolts. They live in a science fiction fantasy world about you know, created in their childhoods by fucking movies, Hollywood movies, and they want to go to fucking Mars like it's a fucking Paul Verhoeven movie. They don't want to think about, you know, the nuts and bolts of Glass-Steagall or fucking uh how the economy actually fucking works and how to and how to fix the problems that are actually ailing our fucking society. Elon Musk doesn't have any idea whatsoever what the real problems are of real people or of like the masses, and he doesn't have any ideas about how to fix them either that are actually fucking institutable. And you know, the internet has just like empowered a lot of dumb vicious people, and I guess in a certain way it is like a total democracy, or like because there's so many fucking dumb people on the internet. There isn't some kind of like gatekeeper to vet things to make sure that they're like high quality or factual. Joe Rogan can just go on and talk about aliens, or Alex Jones can go on and talk about the dumb shit that he talks about. And now all these people are in charge, right? It's all like the most whacked out. It's RFK Jr. is the fucking Surgeon General. It's just like the most whacked out loudmouth. The thing about sales is like you don't have to tell the truth, right? Sales is all about it's the same thing with cult thinking. It's charisma, it's trance, it's casting a spell, right? Elon can't really do that. Trump can do that. Trump is the spell caster. Elon is just this fucking gross fat man baby, weird coordination. He's got no uh grace. He's got no fucking like coordination. He's just this awkward pear-shaped fucking tool bag. He wants to be cool so badly, but he's also just he has no social awareness, so he just gets into these. Even with Trump, he's just like he's at Mar-a-Lago. He's fucking like bullying Trump almost. He's almost like as entitled and fucking like I'm just gonna spread out and like nudge my way into your fucking space and control your fucking. I mean, Elon Musk is doing that to him. And the fanboys, all they see is like the image. They just see the image of like, oh yeah, it's Dogecoin. It's this funny meme stock, right? It's like that's cool, that's contemporary, that's edgy, that's rebellious. Crypto, it all has like the stupidest fucking names. That's like an indication that these people are like not serious and they're immature. Dogecoin. It's all like I saw one fart coin is valuated at like $700 million. Fart coin. It's like I've got a new crypto for everybody to invest in. It's Poopy Coin. Get in on Poopy Coin now, okay? I'm a crypto billionaire. I'm running the world. Get in on my new cryptocurrency, which is going to completely crash the power grid and uses tons and tons and tons of fresh water. It just sucks up all our natural resources. It runs on polar ice caps. My new cryptocurrency, Poopy Butt Coin. And everybody on YouTube and everybody on Twitch is a fucking retarded Trumper. It drives me insane. Anybody that watches my live stream is like a fucking Trump, Trump, Trump. It's like, what the hell is the matter with you? Like, I think that a functional government and what the government is actually supposed to do, and like any kind of like working class, like solidarity and organization and like support is so far in our rear view, people don't even know what it is. People think the radical left is like transgender, you know, uh, migrant transgender surgery and shit. And this is one reason why I think, in a certain way, it's like we do kind of have this animosity or something towards woke politics, because it's like it was a distraction. It was a way to sort of like fatten and bribe a certain class of people into like it didn't change the class structure. It just introduced the idea like, hey, now if you're not white, you can be an email job. And in fact, you're going to have, all of the email jobs. So now you're white. Isn't that great? But it's like, okay, so there's still a hierarchy of class. It's not really about equality. And in fact, what we're all finding out is economic fucking issues are actually the thing that control all our fucking lives. Nobody can afford to live anymore because the economy has fucking completely shifted to wealth inequality while we were squabbling about our fucking pronouns and shit. They stole everything. You know, Elon Musk got twice as fucking rich and he took over the fucking government because he hates his fucking transgender child. And so you are kind of pissed about it because the whole thing was about how we're the bad guy and we're supposed to perform this kind of like self-flagellation ritual about, oh, we're so bad, we're so fucking privileged, I'm acknowledging my privilege. And it's like, meanwhile, rent went up 100%. There's no jobs for anybody. uh the cost of eggs, the cost of gasoline, the cost of fucking, it's like, if people were actually fucking paying attention to shit that mattered, and if there actually was organization, if there actually was solidarity, like with Occupy Wall Street, right? I do think to some degree they saw Occupy Wall Street, they saw what was happening, they saw the underclasses, the 99%. You know, I mean, it's not like, the upper class are one third of the people, the middle class is one third of the people, and the poor are one third of the people. It's like 1% of the people are the upper class. And then probably, I don't even know, 20-30% are like middle class. And then everybody else is poor as fuck. Everybody else is eating fucking Wendy's because it's the only thing they can afford. I've been going to fucking Wendy's. I'm on the Chipotle diet. It's all Chipotle all the fucking time because it's the only thing you can afford. And God, I mean, in New York City, it's just right in your fucking face. The class disparities. And they call it a service industry. It's not a service industry. You are a servant. You are a servant. If you're a waiter, if you're a fucking bartender, if you're retail, if you're an Uber driver, you are a fucking servant. What do you think the difference between an Uber driver and a guy like fucking driving a horse-drawn carriage is? It's like it's the same fucking thing, except it's automated and mechanical. And in New York City, there's two classes of people. There's service class and there's the ultra wealthy. And they don't give a fuck about this. They care about is their fucking pronouns because they're rich. They can afford to like worry about shit that doesn't matter. The rest of us are like, oh my God, I've had this lingering health problem for years because I don't have health insurance. I can't see a fucking doctor because there's no universal health care in the wealthiest nation that's ever existed. Because the government's bad. It's socialism. Socialism's bad. Capitalism is one thing when the workers get some piece of the pie, but over the last 50 years, and we've all seen it and we all know it because we're on the fucking line. If you're not a fucking retard, you can see that wealth people have stolen, the owners, the capitalists have stolen all the wealth. It's gone like this. We're still producing value. It's just our share of the value is being stolen from us, from the worker, because there's no real left. There's no unions. There's no fucking solidarity. There's no organization. There's just infighting about fucking pronouns and whiteness and acknowledging your privilege and land acknowledgments. Gee, these land acknowledgments, they really fixed everything, didn't they? Everything's so much better than it was 5 years ago because all these fucking I mean, I'm not saying that white people didn't steal all the shit. We know they stole all the shit. They're still stealing it. There's a South African guy who's running our government, and England is next. I loathe Musk. I loathe the motherfucker. And so I think, the people that are like, "Oh, this Luigi, it's worrying that he's being like, martyred or deified or glorified." It's like this guy is the only one doing anything. He is the only one who has done anything that's like an active class fucking war on behalf of the poor. The rich are getting richer, and it's not even like there's nothing even to compare it to in history because they're so fucking rich. And people just think that that's winning. They just think, "Oh, Elon Musk is a fucking genius. He's Nikolai Tesla. He look at these rockets and shit." Meanwhile, he didn't actually design any of that shit. He just elbowed his way in with his parents' fucking apartheid blood money. And he's got a bunch of fucking distracting uh uh, uh lingo about how he's going to go to Mars and shit. It's like rich people can pretend they're anything. Rich people get, "Oh, I'm an artist because I've got a fucking painting studio in Soho because I can afford it because there's no new deal. There is no sense that we need to do things for the good of like the many and for the good of society. Even these billionaires are not like philanthropists. They're not like, Carnegie, like, "Hey, let's spend our money for like the betterment of let's give back on our own terms." But they're at least like sort of doing something for like the infrastructure. The rich people now, they just spend their money on like these super tall buildings that like they don't even live in. They would rather like just like park their money in fucking real estate they don't use than like give back anything to like circulation. It's all just like ego stroking their fucking net worth. I don't care if people don't fucking watch. I don't give a fuck. Nobody's ever watched. I've been fucking harping. I've been right about everything for 5 fucking years and nobody listens. They would rather I don't even know what. It's like read my fucking books. It's all in there. Read if you look at, contrary to everything else that all of the fucking like poetic class in this fucking country is writing, which is just it's just an endless guilt trip about identity politics that I've actually been writing about like shit that really fucking matters and everything that's coming to pass now. I predicted all of it. Go back and watch my old live streams. The people who've been watching, maybe they recognize. I've been warning about fucking Elon Musk. He's my arch nemesis. He's the Lex Luthor, right? He's not Tony Stark. He's Lex Luthor. For all the fucking superhero movie watching fucking retards out there who are mostly males, mostly young males. Men, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them. I don't know what the hell is wrong with them. There's just no cool masculinity anymore. You know? Uh Everybody that's like a masculine role model, it's like Jake Paul, Tom Holland. I don't know. Uh I tried. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody paid attention. Maybe I should have been a hype beast. Maybe I should have grown up listening to Kid Cudi, like fucking. I do want to talk about how much of Chalamet's swag is like ripped off Soldier Boy. Like so, I mean, and just in general, like it kind of, you know, even amongst woke people, maybe especially amongst woke white people, their whole idea of what is cool is like black culture. The way that they talk, the way that the music that they like. Not that black culture isn't like the coolest culture, but like when Timothy Chalamet, like there's the video of him doing Nicki Minaj in high school, like a dragon, like a dungeon dragon, and then he's just got tons of like late 2000s, early 2010s like hip hop kind of vibe, pretty boy swag. And women find him like adorable for that. That's like what's hot about Timothy Chalamet, but he's white. He's a thin white French Jew from he grew up in artist housing, right? Okay, there's an artist housing building on West 43rd Street. This is where Larry David lived. This is what Seinfeld is based on. This is where Timothy Chalamet grew up. That's government. That's big government, okay? That's socialism. We wouldn't have Seinfeld. We wouldn't have Larry David. We wouldn't have a complete unknown if it wasn't for this big government housing, affordable housing in New York. Doesn't exist anymore. But all his swag is fucking ripped off. How is that different than Al Jolson? How is that different than fucking? I mean, culture to this day is still just white people sort of like ripping off black people vibes. And all the white girlies are like, we love him. We love Timmy C. We love that he's such a swagalicious white boy. And I don't know. He's 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 cool, I guess, but just more racism, more white feminist racism. The biggest racist of all, the white feminists. I don't know. They just I think political correctness is like a kind of privilege. Actually, if you can actually obsess over that and pay that much attention to that, it means that like you weren't you didn't have anything better to do. Not that I'm against it, in the grand scheme of things, it's just peculiar to me how it's like it's it's like not an organic idea. It's counterintuitive or something. It's like people just left to their own devices. It's not like they're going to be racist, but like uh I don't know, they're more likely to be it's a class difference in a certain way. The lower classes, I think there's more of kind of like a boisterous roast kind of like racial humor. That's one of the ways that people kind of like actually when they're confronted with each other and when they actually have to face each other and connect and contact, um that's one of the ways that they do it. That's one of the ways that they interface. It isn't this at least they are contacting though. The upper classes, they're the ones that can really segregate themselves and do. They're the ones who afford to live in private buildings, doorman buildings, Uber, private jet, whatever the fuck it is. The rest of us are just in the bottom of the boat in fucking third class. Maybe I'll read some poetry. I don't give a fuck if people watch, okay? And I don't know. I mean, I wish they did. I wish they listened. I wish the young men in America thought I was cool instead of fucking Aiden Ross or whatever the fuck it is. Kai Cenat. Maybe I should get on goddamn Kick. I mean, remember when I ran into those fucking Kick streamers in Chinatown? Loyal viewers of the stream will remember. I think more people watch this than I than I realize. Not that it's wildly popular, and like I said, I don't think women watch it. They don't want to be mansplained to, at least not by somebody with any kind of like sense of like self doubt. They just want somebody who's delusionally confident. Um, I went to a Grizzly Pear. My triumphant return to Grizzly Pear, and it is Grizzly. Yesterday, I follow this Facebook comedy open mic group, and I saw my man Adeoke. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name. I apologize. I probably mispronounced Adael K, one of my favorite New York City comedians. Um, I saw he was hosting the Grizzly Pear open mic, which I've been kind of. I saw that he had hosted a few times, and I wanted to, because he's cool, and last time I went to that place, I sort of just got uh assaulted verbally by all the other comedians. So I want to go there because it's this poetry, right? It's Cafe Rienzi. It's traditionally this beat poetry coffee shop, or it was in the 50s or whatever. Now it's the, alt-right stand-up comedy club where they just basically beat people up, emotionally, because that's what comedy is. Hey, you can't laugh at yourself. So anyway, I went yesterday because I just had to. It's just a legendary, and I was going to read my poetry. That was my secret mission, was to actually just read poetry in that room. I'd love to do a poetry open mic at one of those clubs. I'd love to do a poetry open mic at Comedy Shop or Grizzly Pear. If you're out there listening, those places could be so much. They could be making so much money, but so much more money than they are, and they could, it's Lower Manhattan. There should be something cool in there. There should be something cool and arty in there. For some reason, it's like this Fox News alt-right bro fest where it's just, sexist, racist, roasting humor, par for the course. It's the comedy mothership. That's kind of what stand-up comedy culture is. I've talked about it a lot. It's sad but true. It used to be this kind of left-leaning George Carlin speak truth to power thing, and now it's just like they're just fanboys for Elon Musk and Trump and any kind of just like dumb masculinity. But in any case, so I go to the open mic yesterday, and the guy that went before me, I was on deck. I didn't recognize him. I feel bad, but I apologize to whoever it was. I didn't, because he was wearing glasses, so I think I thought it was somebody I recognized, but he was wearing glasses, so I wasn't totally sure. But anyway, I'm sitting there watching it, and the dude calls me out. He's like, "Here's a hot take. There's Matt Proctor. He's got the hottest takes right on his live streams." Or he said something to that effect. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I was kind of like shocked because I'm like, I didn't recognize the guy. The fact that I knew who he was, or he knew who I was like, okay, if I love that. But I'm also like, I'm live streaming to like 2 people. So I'm like, nobody watches this. And so what is the fucking point of even doing it? If it's just gonna be like this sort of like completely transparent confessional spill my guts thing where it's just like everybody knows everything about me and they can use that against me or something. But apparently people are watching my live stream, so I appreciate that. I have the hottest takes. You heard it at the Grizzly Pear, everybody. So I uploaded my set. It's 7 minutes. I gave us 7 minutes. Shout out to Adeoke. Thank you for the 7 minutes, my man. And I don't know. I did a lot of my hottest, most controversial takes because I was called out. I don't know anything about fucking. To be honest, the guy was a good comedian. as he was up there, I was like, this guy's actually pretty good at this. This he was actually referencing some shit that I was like, oh, this is pretty edifying. It isn't just like he's talking about his dick or whatever. He was talking about South Korea. I don't even remember politics and this and that. I think he mentioned Elon Musk, or he mentioned some kind of, there were some references that I was like, okay, this guy, comedy is a lot about the references. It's a lot about making like some kind of like esoteric reference that still everybody's going to get. Like some kind of reference that like or even just like what little verbal garnish or decoration, like that guy, don't get all bricked up about it. Shit like that. Little, you find comedians kind of glaze every phrase with some kind of panache, and a lot of them use kind of modern slang, like type shit, or gang gang. I heard that one comedian say gang gang, gang gang. You never, poets do that too, but I don't know. The comedians kind of they're a little bit more in touch with contemporary culture usually. Usually poets are just talking about trees or whatever. I don't know. Gang gang. I'm constantly trying to like track slang and be relevant and contemporary and current for a 40-year-old man. Turning 40. I'm about to turn 40. I know that's sad. So anyway, yeah, I did my 7 minutes at Grizzly Pear. I uploaded the set, but I don't know. I'm afraid to make it public because I said some pretty wild shit, and I don't know. It was, comedy's a safe space for homophobia and racism. It's one of the last places men can be men. I think that's why they like it so much, because they can just go and air their toxic opinions about uh whatever. So anyway, I just felt like it could really, I don't know, I felt like they liked me more. And I think they did, because I said things were gay and retarded. I think they liked me more. Why not? I mean, Jesus Christ, Trump got reelected, I mean, the strategy needs to be changed. We need to tear up. So, and then I did read a poem. I did finish with the poem. So I did get to read a poem in the Grizzly Pear at a stand-up comedy open mic. Thank you to Addy OK for making that possible. And I was happy to be back. It was good. Yeah. Ben Callahan went up after me. Shout out to Ben Callahan. I thought he did great too. I was like, shit, he's getting good at it. It was like, it was another thing. We're just verbally, it's a subtle thing. It's just like I feel like with comedy, there's such a fine line between clever and stupid. It's such a subtle difference. Like this guy. So then I went to this fucking comedy open mic at Black Cat LES. Comedians on the Loose. Shout out Comedians on the Loose. Black Cat LES is a really cool venue. I would love to do a fucking poetry event there. It really feels like it could be 1959 in that place. It's this basement, hardwood floors. It's a coffee house, and it's all these nice kind of paisley, ornate, cushy kind of chaise lounges and wooden furniture. There's a fucking piano. Smells like coffee. It's hard to get that vibe anymore. Every fucking coffee shop now is like some kind of Starbucks corporate linoleum. Smells like a public bathroom, BO. This place, it's like, it has that old coffee house kind of feel, and they really don't hassle you about buying anything, which is really a relief for New York. And so now it's cold, right? It's fucking 30 fucking degrees outside. So it's like you need to find somewhere to go indoors. I tried to go to Music In open mic. It was completely, I went at 7:45. The list was totally full. So I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess I'm not doing that. So I went and got sushi half off in Soho. And then I went to Black Cat LES to Comedians on the Loose, because I knew I could just sit there. And these comedy open mics, they're a good place to write in a weird way, because you can just kind of, while the comedian's going on, you can just sit in the cafe and So I was just working on my poetry and stuff, but it's like I didn't have to buy anything. Comedians on the Loose is $6, which like I wasn't gonna pay $6 to do it. I had already paid $5 to do fucking Grizzly Pear. That's the other thing about stand up is like it's such a fucking racket. It's such a fucking like $5 every goddamn time I want to do this. Like it's an expensive hobby. It's an expensive thing to like just get the ball rolling. So I just sat there for a few hours, just get out of the cold and worked on my poetry in my $2 journal here. So maybe I'll read some fucking poetry for everybody. But yeah. So that's my farm report from the stand-up comedy open mic scene in New York. Yeah, it's a subtle difference. So yeah, I went to Black Cat LES after, and this one guy went up, and his jokes were not. They were just a little bit more, just a little, but they were about the same shit that everybody jokes about. He started out with about a dozen jokes about being a pedophile. Naturally, it's a common subject for stand-up comedians to talk about, is like pedophilia. For some reason, that's hilarious to people. I don't know why. I don't know why comedians feel like they have to talk about racism or anti-Semitism or pedophilia, or it's like there's tons of shit you could talk about. And if you are going to talk about those things, like why not try to do it in an empathetic way? Why, and so once again, it's a fine line between doing that well. And this guy at Comedians on the Loose, which like the audience was not that involved. They were sort of half in and half out. Like a lot of these stand-up open mics, people are looking at their phones or they're working on their own material. They're thinking about what they're going to do. And so they're not really the best audience. They're not really paying attention, and they're not really there to enjoy it either. There's almost this kind of resistance. It's like you got to force them to laugh. And they've just seen every fucking thing 100 times. But this guy, he went up and just immediately the audience was just on. And he killed. He fucking killed. And it's like what he was doing was not that different than what every other person was doing. But there was just, I don't know, there was like an energetic undercurrent to it or something. And his punchlines and shit were just like a little more dialed in. It's a fine line, right? It's like that Mark Twain thing between the lightning bug and the lightning. Having the right word versus the word that's almost right. That's the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. If you have the right word, if you have, oh God, I don't know. I can't think of an example right now. Like Ben Callahan had a whole thing about the gym, the fucking the pull-up bar is like a halfway thing between being a pussy and being a man or something. A bar in the sky. It was like it was, word for word. It was like you could tell. And I'm still at the point where with stand-up comedy, I go up with like an idea, and then it's like, oh, I'll just go up on stage with like the premise. And then by doing it a bunch of times, you start to kind of like punch in and discover things and add things. And that kind of helps you fill out where the premise needs to go. I don't know. I could probably write word for word like a 5-minute routine, which to be honest, it does seem like the best comedians do. It does seem like pretty much every fucking word they say probably is premeditated, actually. Um, and then like the delivery in a weird way, like that Nate Bargatze guy, he was talking about that skit they did when he hosted SNL about like the United States system of measurement, which was kind of like a viral skit. A lot of people said it was one of the best skits they ever did. And it was all just about George Washington planning the And he said they almost cut that sketch because when they did it at table read, it bombed. And then when they did it at dress rehearsal, it bombed again. But he said something about he needs to kind of be in front of an audience, and then his rhythm kind of comes out like Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg has this kind of certain rhythm. Nate Bargatze kind of the same way, where it's like he doesn't talk normally. He's kind of got a funny way of talking. And he does that in that sketch. You can tell the way he delivers it it's almost like Christopher Walken or something. It's this weird kind of way of talking. Normal people don't talk like that, but it's funny because it's strange. And or Shatner, there's something to be said for that about just like I've got some kind of idiosyncratic like cadence, to the way that I speak, man. It's crazy, man. And it's like that. It's kind of a way of cheating, but it's a trance. It's a way. It's a hypnosis. With comedy there has to be this kind of like static electricity. There has to be this kind of like your hair's right. That's what everybody says when like they see greatness is their hairs on the back of their neck stand up, right? That's like the cliche of like when you hear the greatest sound you've ever heard or the greatest song you've ever or the greatest music or whatever it is. Like, oh, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up because it was so good. Like, what a strange reaction. What an animalistic kind of like uh that's anatomical. That's completely like werewolves or something, like, oh, we just started screaming and howling. We don't even know why. That was just our natural the best entertainers get into that, the hair on the back of your neck standing up. I feel like I've gotten there a few times. There's definitely been a few times I feel like I've gotten to that. Not necessarily in public. In public, it's harder. But, I don't know. There's, like, some maybe it's energy, I don't know. There's some in comedy, so many comedians are these loner male, incel types, Reddit, 4chan, I don't know, Twitch, toxic, but they've also been really vilified by the culture, right? I mean, that's the other thing is like in a way you can't really blame them. And it's something that I've harped on my live stream continuously. And anybody and that's probably why women don't watch is because I do talk about that a lot, just about how it's been hard, quite frankly. I mean, I don't necessarily. It's not like my 30s were like stolen from me, but like I definitely feel like there was a huge crater in my 30s because of Trump, because of um, the the societal backlash. I mean, particularly on the left, particularly from like the elite, media culture that like men are trash, white men are trash. You are the bad guy. Just inherently, if you're a cis hetero white male, there's nothing you can do. Your life just needs to be like this endless uh dismantling of your own privilege, standing up for using your privilege to help other people who don't have privilege, uh, you know, and just kind of disavowing any kind of and then everybody else is just, all the hot chicks hate you because they're all fucking super progressive, liberal, cool, arty people. It's like anybody that was cool and arty, it's like there's nothing less cool or arty than like white guys and bros and bro culture and so bro culture just kind of went into the fucking internet basically it seems like and nursed their wounds by fucking playing Xbox and watching Twitch and taking refuge in things that just confirmed crypto the manosphere, things that weren't going to condescend to them or vilify them, frankly. Who could blame them? Why would you want to watch something that just like tells you you're shit, you're shit, you're not invited, you're not a part of this? And frankly, I mean, I think there did have to be that moment of acknowledgement in that era of backlash and retribution. But at the same time, it's like now that privilege is not exactly the same thing. And it's not like you're in a position of advantage. I think men definitely feel like they're in a position of societal disadvantage, and in a way, and they are, unless there's some kind of crypto entrepreneur bro that like all they give a fuck about is making money. But if you're a guy who's trying to be an artist, it's just like everybody's been told like forget it, don't consume anything by white guys. We don't need any more of that point of view. And we don't have the email jobs, we don't have the office jobs, we don't have the white collar jobs. There's all been all these DEI initiatives that said don't hire these guys. And once again, like that was an important moment, but you have an entire generation of guys. I mean, I'm a liberal guy and I did everything I could to just like be a team player. But there's tons of guys that were already sort of like right wing sympathetic or Trump sympathetic or just, right wing. A lot of it is just like the image of masculinity. It's like this cowboy, guns, freedom, even though it doesn't actually fucking do any of that stuff. Anti-mask, anti-science, anti-faggy, effeminate education, anti-intellectual, uh, pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. Just a bunch of propaganda, basically, for what it means to be American, what it means to be male, or values, individuality, self reliance, being a hard ass, being a fucking cowboy. But then a real fucking criminal comes along, a real rebel like Luigi Mangione, and everybody's like, we need the death penalty for this terrorist. This guy's a fucking terrorist. Let's make him do the perp walk. Like, this guy's Billy the Kid, basically. Somebody has to send some kind of signal that's going to get through, and that's just nature. I mean, we don't want things to break out into violence, right? But there already is violence. There's these mass shootings everywhere. Might as well fucking have some kind of a fucking point. Um, yeah, so men have just been fucking berated, told they're the bad guy, told they're pieces of shit. Women aren't gonna fuck them. Women don't want to fuck them. They're all gay. They're all. It's cool to be gay. It's cool to if you're not queer, you're not cool. But it's like it's kind of creating this idea like we are prejudiced against those people or something, which is not true. There's plenty of guys out there that are happy to just live and let live or something just because they're born with a fucking penis. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're like inherently fucking racist, prejudiced, sexist. And we should be doing everything we can to like, why don't men embrace these values? Why don't men try to embrace their empathy or socialism or why don't men advocate for women's rights or gay, like to some degree, the left has not offered them the opportunity to do so. As a straight white man, what were you supposed to do? Like nobody really wanted you at the fucking party. So what did you do? You became a fucking stand-up comedian podcaster. Trumper, crypto bro. Um, and I mean the internet, any kind of like stupid point of view, any kind of stupid idea, like NFTs. It was one of those things that like these ideas sound like they might be smart because like you're trying to wrap your mind around them. Like, okay, the moon landing was fake. Okay, let me try to understand what the thinking behind this is, or whatever the fucking conspiracy theory, aliens, whatever it is. There's aliens in the ocean or these drones. What the fuck are they? It's just like any like with NFTs, it was like you didn't really understand. Oh, it's a blockchain. And so like you're not buying the thing, you're buying like the fucking it sounded like, okay, I don't really understand it, but I guess I'm just an idiot. Like the stock market is full of things like this where you're like, that doesn't really seem like it should work, but I guess I'm just the idiot. That doesn't seem that's the way economics are, but apparently these NFTs are going to be a big deal, and we should put crypto is completely like this. It's like it serves a purpose for the people that want to supersede the governments and do illegal shit and do sort of transnational shit that's not taxed or not, who are looking for some other kind of asset and like wealth building. But like it only is valuable in how much you like buy into that lie. Like all cults, like all Ponzi schemes, like all fucking pyramid schemes. It's just like they're asking you to believe, to have faith. They're asking you, have you made your decision for Christ? And the whole system is based on that. Tesla's stock value is based on that. It's not based on any actual wealth that they are providing. It's not based on the money that they make at all. They don't make anywhere near the amount of money that would justify their valuation. It's all based on the idea that a bunch of rich people are fanboys of the fucking brand and they believe in the ideology and what Elon Musk represents. White supremacist, male patriarchy, authoritarian, daddy, genius, cult leader. He's going to save the world, but he's like anti-science. He's a Republican. He's a Trumper. But like Tesla is all about science. It's all about, he was able to build a fucking engine that ran on hydroelectricity or whatever. It wasn't like uh let's build fucking tunnels under Las Vegas because that's going to solve the fucking traffic problem. Hold on just 1 second. Okay, well, that's 1 hour done. Thank you for watching, everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter now. These motherfuckers are in control. And they're in super control. Who knows? I mean, it's already... The dude has not even been sworn in yet. And it's already a fucking nightmare. It's already like, oh my God, what are they doing? Why is this guy... Who invited him? Who invited this guy? What is he doing here? Like... The thing is, like, it is... Women want guys that, like, take up that kind of space. Women want guys that totally overstep boundaries. And, All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to read my election poem, and then maybe I'll break in at certain points to just diatribe and mourn. Mourn. Hello, Matt. Goodbye, democracy. Or at least it's simulacrum. I mean, so technically we've had a plutocracy since 2000 and something, early 2000s. Some Oxford or some kind of Webster's dictionary, they reclassified the United States as a plutocracy. So now we literally are being governed by the billionaire class. You know, this is something that most of us don't even think should exist. There should not be a billionaire class. It's usually the worst fucking people figure out ways to make $1 billion. And I mean, that is the emblem of wealth disparity, right? Is there's billionaires. Look at how many fucking billionaires there are. And it's kind of this status symbol to be a billionaire. You have to be, it's like to genetically, you're indicating genetically you're just superior to everybody else because you're a fucking billionaire. And obviously you made all that money, so you deserve it. It's just like empirical evidence. Meanwhile, every single person is saying tax the fucking rich. Meanwhile, they're gonna these idiots voted to give them a tax cut. You know, if anybody paid attention to Trump or any of the Republicans, this is the thing: is the people on the right are morons. They don't understand what they're voting for. They think they're voting for Dirty Harry, when really they're voting for like Joe Bluth. All the Republicans ever do, one of the main things they do is give tax cuts to rich people. Not everybody. If you look at the charts, poor people are going to be paying more in taxes. Your taxes are going to go up because you voted for Trump. They're not going to go down. Your income tax is not going to go down, okay? Because you voted for a Republican and you think that means less taxes. Your taxes are going to go up. Elon Musk's taxes are going to go down. They're going to go way down. And Bezos's taxes are going to go way down. And there's going to be no corporate tax whatsoever because corporations have more rights than anybody. Corporations are the real human beings. We're just like slaves to them. We're just their serfs. And so you fucked yourselves, you MAGA retards. If you only voted for the black woman, if you'd only gone woke, you would have saved money. There would have been less government. You would have saved money on eggs. You would have saved money on the price of eggs if you could have gotten over your inherent racist misogyny and voted for the half black, half Indian woman. But you couldn't. You couldn't do it. You had to go do stand-up comedy and start a podcast, even though you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. I'm a giant of economics, okay? We're designing the future. Even though they're, centuries from now, they're going to base our civilization on these. All right. So saith Sparrow, but we will be there for you next week, no matter what happens. We'll need humor and solidarity to fight back. Running into Roland Baths at the nadir of democracy, not the 2008 moments with his parents, but its antithesis. Encroached by bands of red-hatted thugs, I turn around and see the reflection of Himmler, bloodless and cold, staring me down with slit eyes. With a sinister wind begins to whip the United States flags. A snake-like darkness winds its way into the arena of the sky. Elizabeth Bishop first met Marion Moore on the benches beneath the stone lions on Fifth Avenue in front of the main library. Roland Baths tells me this to distract from the election results, and we sit there like we're them, though we didn't meet there, sick to my stomach like it's 2016. New York created him. This city has seen everything. A tragic calm falls over its shoulders like a coat, and I go walking in it like a funereal contemplation. A black frock fits over the arms of the sidewalks. How is this going to affect me going forward? We'll see how long the Mondays can extend, just trying to get from year to year. Stop the steal. I think they rigged the election with Starlink. This is only the beginning of where we're going. The thugs are out tonight, confident and re energized. What can we do to stop them? Tailoring ourselves to the new normal. We must be bad people because this happened on our watch, despite doing everything we could to stop it. In fact, all of our efforts were directed that way, to no avail. Did we fall asleep at the wheel for the last 4 years? I mean, how did they let Trump win again? People obsessed over the guy so much, and there was so much time and energy spent on like getting rid of him the first time. Now it just feels like people don't even give a fuck. It's just like they're surrendered to it. I don't even know what the fuck are people doing. We're crashing out. Is that what it is? Everybody's favorite word now, crashing out. I'm a crash out. After the Biden kind of calm air bubble, time of useful consciousness, we're crashing out. What will we do tomorrow? What will we tell our children? Last night was your last chance to have fun before cheese log dictatorship. We're not even across the river yet, but if anything happens, I will protect you. They need USB chargers on the trains. I doubt Trump will provide them or anybody else in this racist, sexist country, which could have had a black woman president for the first time, but once again proved themselves unworthy. Roland Bath says, make art. We are poets. We have no choice. I have to go to work tomorrow. Jerome Rothenberg celebration. What is the vibe going to be like at that? This community takes more than it gives. Like most things, it requires sacrifice. Strung to the trees, basing my decisions on this, and the day started off so well with beautiful weather, music, tears, optimism, and laughter. It's not too soon to start thinking about 2028, but to be honest, that was probably the last election we'll ever have. People seem fine with handing over the nuclear football to a proven traitor. Two people in love just got on the train and they look happy, even amongst mass murder. Some will prosper immensely. Why change anything? Why not just keep doing what you're doing? Chasing acid with drops of ketamine. Maybe everybody will be a bit nicer to each other since we're all on the same team, the team of poetry. Gossips delivered, healing throw up. We're all going to get canceled again. Dressing like Zelda for Halloween. The election is spooky, coming right on its heels. Ghosts still hanging in the trees and a weird occult vibe lingering behind. Never nominate a white governor named Tim. It's a recipe for defeat. But they didn't accept me in this brief interregnum of relative normalcy after the plague. Nothing's going to change our lives, are just going to get worse as usual. Piece of the pie, little bit smaller and smaller. Have to fuck our way out. They'll vote for a neurodegenerative white man, but not a black female district attorney. It's really a conflict between government and private. The fact that Biden even stepped down, I think they should give credit for that. People didn't really give Kamala enough credit for anything. They mismanaged her fucking campaign. They did what they always fucking did. They just put this lame stream media. I don't know. These guys own the internet, so they're doing everything they can to make themselves look cool. I mean, Elon Musk bought Twitter because he wants to be cool so bad. He wants to be like a dime square, like alt. He wants those people to like him. He just wants the cool kids to like him. And that's what Twitter is. Twitter was like, I don't know, the fucking teachers lounge cigarette break of like kids that went to alternative high school. Alt lit kids, uh edge lords. Look, I mean, Tao Lin is everybody's favorite kind of millennial poet. He's a Trumper. He's like just kind of a typical. I think these people are just naive about like the government. They don't. Not that our government is like necessarily functioning the best that it could, but like the things that they should cut, Trump is not going to address. They're not going to go in and cut the huge military budget. That's where they should start. They should cut the fucking military budget in half at least. Give that money to libraries and poetry magazines. And poetry, there should be venues. I think I want to start a venue. I've noticed like that's one thing, like all these comedians. How are these fucking comedians like starting comedy clubs? Like good for them, but like is that generational wealth? I assume that, or like are they taking out like a loan? Like how do you pay New York City rent to start like Bushwick Comedy Club or whatever, or Flophouse Comedy Club? It's like three stand-up comedians, like open mic comedians, are going to get together and like start do they have some kind of huge social media money they're making, or I don't know, like why not start a poetry venue in Bushwick or something? I don't know. It feels like that's the next logical step. I mean, I guess that's what the bookstores are. I guess that's typically where this stuff lives now, is like these hipster cool kid bookstores. That's where they do their kind of sanctified literary activities. But why not start like like Bowery Poetry Club? Why not start like, the Bushwick Poetry Club? That's like a coffee house bar that does like fucking poetry readings every day. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more stand-up comedians, I guess, than there are poets, but I don't know. To me, the poets, that's what this is all about, is like is get the people who are watching stand-up comedy to read poetry instead. Poetry should be the new stand-up comedy. These men should be writing poetry and becoming poets instead of comedians. Or both. I don't know, do both. Um, okay, Ashley. Yeah, I turned off the chat. But Ashley is texting me anyway. So that must mean Ashley's watching. All right, anyway. I'm reading my I Told You So poem. This poem just sounds even more correct now. I literally wrote this. This was November 5th. So this was like the day after the election or the day of the election. This is everything that happened election night. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's pretty fucking solid. Uh it's really a conflict between government and private interest, which means billionaires, right? I don't People want, it's master and slave. They want somebody to dominate them and tell them what to do with their lives. They can't handle having an empty day in front of them. And what do I do? What do I do all day? I need a boss to tell me what to do. The government is like a union. It protects the rights of the many. Our conversation was practice for what gets put down in writing. It's giving 2016 the way we walked right into it, like a rake in the grass. Our social life was pulled through the pocket of our TV, standing like wizards with our gimbals and live stream cameras as if they were staffs. People watch the stupidest live stream shit. I mean, look at Eric the Dream Giver. Not to talk shit about the guy, but like, why would anybody watch that? He was literally just standing there with his fucking stream on. There was no mental activity that seemed to be happening at all. Like I said, I work very hard to like provide value and political fucking commentary you can't get anywhere else. People should be watching me like they're watching fucking Mark Fisher videos. It's just frustrating. A creepy foreboding of Kristallnacht drove me out of our room into the town squares of the night. Cecilia is psychic and she felt something dark in the pit of her stomach, like a ghost story the world was telling about itself. I'm dark gothic Camilla. She only got 68% of the vote in New York City. Apparently, we are surrounded by MAGA. On the one hand, I can't believe it. On the other, I'm not surprised. 11/6/24. It's quiet in the city today. 11/7/24. Kind of wish I could get deported right now. It'd be the easiest way to escape the United States. I play with this nipple on my upper lip when I'm nervous. There is no America. It's 50 small countries. Doing the right thing gets us nowhere. It's been a long and beautiful autumn, the best I can remember until now. It doesn't even get cold anymore. Enjoy it, riding our own melt. How do you spell that at Judson Church? A build-up in illusion. It was nice to see the elders get weird. Charles Bernstein moaning, Poland, 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 Poland. We came out on our feet. As long as they don't cut my health insurance, the federal can't override the state in certain powerful places like New York and California. He campaigned at a bodega in the Bronx. Stop thinking you're better than these people, holier than thou leftists. Nobody tunes in for the cutting insights. They're voting with their wallet, experiencing pain at the pump. My sex life was already ruined again. We have to reintegrate the whole. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. No reason not to. I'm so in love with McDougal Street. How could I not be? Millennials elected Obama. Gen Z incels MAGA Trumper thrilled. Please filter the eyebrows. Women feel angry at me and I can't look at them, but they did it too. Spawn the New Yorker. Where was the October surprise? It was a smoking gun. There's a woman who knows everything. Began my long, slow decline. It's over now. It's too late. We missed it. Though we were having our own thing and doing our own thing at the same time. Anime, Edward Scissorhands, Marilyn Manson, Hyperbop, Bo Peep. They want to interact with the live stream, which makes my job more complicated. Training my replacement. Small packets of cut-ups threatening my job. Times move on. Get new or get left behind. Maybe I stayed too long. My timing is horrible. A victory lap, missed out on the revolution. I started and doubt if they'd want me now. Fuck you, pay me is why I go. Let's refinish whatever gets thrown at us. Would make good genre curriculum companions. Ashley's expecting a small to mid surprise. Fuck it, I'm reading my poetry at the Grizzly Pear. I don't care if they don't like it, I paid for it. Jake Paul endorses a drink the kids love. It's all over the place. A stern internment. Is it recording for the environmental sorority? I don't even flick its visa. My exit posts for next year are gone troppo. Shampoo tampon has to work today and tomorrow. Then Wednesday and Friday next week. I'm only in it for the money. Hopefully ending my season. Will they pay me to work there? In the days after the election, the city was quiet as a funeral. She was out till 4 a.m. at Dean Kissick's election watch party at Earth Galleries, surrounded by Peter Thiel money. We'll take it step by step. I live in the streets anyway. Now you come there, ready to retire like Bruce Wayne swooping in. Gets me excited. The coming of age meatloaf. Mucha Libre, yo tambien. They want to take revenge on California Reptar backpack, but it's already a mess. Ate in a lot of nice restaurants. Media production fees taking cantaloupe, superpowers of access. Look mad at me while they walk down the street in thick contemplation. I can tell. Jen Psaki's crying on MSDNC. Roland Baths notices in the Watch Plaza at 30 Rock, where he shared Obama's win with his parents. I stayed home with my brother that night instead of going to Bodega, missing out on history. I have drama with the way people treat me. Get over it. This could make or break our open source gathering place by the alcohol flame, which we need to hurtle through, battering history, put it in writing. Drinking water just gets you bacteria as I walk past Anderson Cooper's firehouse, thinking he doesn't deserve it. And the U.S. Brahmin news media has the pedigree of oligarchs who think it's their responsibility to guide and protect our republic. Gloria Vanderbilt's son, election night is where the year gets darker. So does the weather. But this isn't the first time a kinky era helps us understand ourselves on the cosmic tracks of eternity. I'm your go-to post-op war correspondent, getting my procedure for free in jail on the American taxpayer dime. An underground market buying and selling fake. I won't say that part. That's probably why my shit got banned. This is who they voted for. Was there ever any doubt? The U.S. has elected plenty of monsters, and women voted for him too. We have to work together going forward, but it won't happen that way. We were the fall guy. Now whose turn is it? I shouldn't be behind these people. I should be widely respected and feared, but it's all worth it because half a book was written about me. This is the end of a certain moment. The air chamber of post lockdown Biden relief bubble is drawing to a close. But we have a system in a community, or at least they do. How many people in the chat? Omkar wore his Obama shirt. Ed Sanders plays a dulcimer that looks like a witch's broomstick. It would be too obvious to get the band back together. Feeling out what is this moment? What is the group opinion going forward? Don't be scared. We fell for that last time. I can't work for people who are stupider than me anymore. They keep the graphic novels near the manga. I used to be there at 6:30 p.m. Can't you make them be nice to me? A cup of styluses which double as pins by the precinct's check-in, where you pick up your ballot. They are definitely stepping on my toes, but when have they ever cared about my toes? Boomer Wake Caddish for the last night of U.S. democracy. Dictator Turnip, God's model train set. The playback freezes, so I turn off my process. Low bandwidth to deal with the lag. Is RFK the new Surgeon General? How does this only have 29 views? There unlocks my sweater. You just pissed in the envelope of love. Then you make them fight each other for it. 11/8/24. Spawning new fidelities once upon a couch. I felt a repellent apathy in the room when I mentioned the election on Monday. That would have indicated low voter turnout. Making olive vessels out of our eyes. It's not sexy, but a softer finish. Hashed eggs making their way to bed. I asked this question: why am I here taking splash damage as simple means to an end? The lights are on, but nobody's home. Paying off the entire credit card debt with my mouth. Knights across history didn't get invited back to Freak World. Don't be ridiculous. It turns out everything's fine. We both ran into Eric the Dream Weaver in different parts of town, holding his streaming staff bus uptown Friday night after the reading. There's nothing original about what you do. Everyone is coming from all over. Garbage trucks tending to the city like giant potato bugs in the night. Detour to 57th, then back to Mad. Maybe I can help out around the house, noticing the ice cream trees in their Christmas finest. It smells like winter out the passenger operated doors. I have my own little cave, but it's gotten smaller. Put on Wired, the John Belushi biopic with Michael Chiklis again. Now all we need is a Jim Belushi movie and we're set. Eleven nine 24. It's Kaipacha time. Stop the steal. That was literally the first thing I said after it happened because I worked 3 days in a row. He wanted to do everything, so I let him. Speaking of which, newscasters from NBC headquarters like AccuLorber feel a responsibility for the electorate. I had to fucking work, staying off my leg, need to get it fixed for the coming info wars. 11/10/24. Like John Smith in Pocahontas in the New World, if I think of something good, then I'll use that. 11/11/24. Feet fight. Jazz funeral for U.S. democracy. When the heroin is long, I'm not going to make it, leaving behind the sandwich I bought at Segwit. Ashley can have it so it doesn't go to waste. There's a huge apparatus turning men violent from birth. I went to buy weed. Then I was going to go back for my classic, but I got distracted by moving on along with my day. Same actress in Salvador and The Border. Fear and Loathing on the Road to Honduras. A savage journey to the heart of U.S. foreign policy in Central America. Psychedelic indigestion zones. Partying through the bad vibes. Doing acid in Vietnam. Freebasing in jail. Can't believe I forgot my fucking sandwich. I was distracted by the prospect of even greater fascism in the United States. Using cameras as weapons. Photojournalists are warriors of exposure, snatching God's light of the heavens into paper that keeps it later. Rolls in his boot heel as the sun goes down. Only got one take when they held him at machine gun in customs. Only got one take when they held him at machine gun in customs. Cobb is an inverse Dracula of snow in peaceful war against all creation. These trends come and go, but they did at the wrong time, like bad weather, tunnels of listening and hallways of language. She gave out a light grid of insatiability you can tap at any time. You can tap at any time, everybody. That's all about. So I like this part about using cameras as weapons. Photojournalists are warriors of exposure, snatching God's light of the heavens into paper that keeps it later. That's all about Salvador, that Oliver Stone movie about James Woods plays this kind of cool hippie. It's just the end of the hippie thing. He's like a hippie photojournalist. He probably works for Rolling Stone or something, and he lives in San Francisco. And so the movie's kind of patterned on Fear and Loathing, where James Woods is like the Hunter S. Thompson, Jim Belushi is like the attorney. He's kind of the fat rock and roll slob. He plays a rock and roll DJ, Dr. Dog, or I can't remember. I think it's something like that. And so they're like, they're like hippie light warriors of the 60s, but it's the early 80s. And so that's kind of dying out. So it's like it's turned into this bad trip where like they're going to Salvador in Central America to make money or whatever to do this story, and it's just a nightmare. um, but with the internet, with social media, with YouTube streaming, like that's what we're seeing. These are the weapons. This is the info war, right? Not that there's that much information that's actually being presented. It's more like who can tell the most colorful, believable lie about like some kind of like voodoo man behind the curtain, powers that be, Illuminati that are like really pulling the strings. Like it's fucking. It's like it's in plain sight. These guys are literally running the country now. They are the fucking establishment elites. That's the craziest part is that we have literally everybody in the fucking cabinet is at least nine figures, and they've convinced us that they're the counter elite, like Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil and Linda McMahon and Elon Musk. He's the counter elite, the guy that owns Twitter, the richest man in the world. Oh, he's not elite at all. The guy going to the Met Gala and Zero Bond and wherever the fuck he wants to go, Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, that guy's not elite or anything. He literally owns everybody's Twitter account. Think about how many fucking journalists, left-wing people rely on Twitter for just, but they're the elite. You can tap at any time. All right, 11:12. 24. Lambasted. It's so late, it's early. All I have is my dick. 11/13/24. Lulled into a false sense of security the earliest the morning came to visit, the U.S. electorate is stupid as hell, voting against their own best interests because of the price of eggs. Inflation is at 2% and real wages have gone down. The Target CEO is a target. See, this was before Luigi even. This was 11/13. The Target CEO is a target. King of the stock market. For just $130 million, you can buy the US government. Much cheaper than Twitter. I'm going to fuck you till you love me, making America his bitch again. Somebody's got to keep poetry real, or is it a place you go to launch outward into what we aren't surrounded by? It is horrifying to me how much control Elon Musk has over our lives. This was 11/13/24, everybody. Can't eat my little dog bowl. Is the lanternfly RFK Jr. Larry's ex-wife's real-life husband? Ivy League money. I want to get some right now. That would have really worked on Monday, but I only thought of it later. Kubrick, upon viewing it, said All That Jazz was the best film he'd ever seen. More screen time is spent per capita on games than social media. There's no politics on Candy Crush. A coalition of the annoying, fighting my way through this city 15 years. The snow is on the east side now. Writing that on a shipping pallet and shipping it off to space. 11/14/24. Was this all part of my political thing? I think I'm coming to the end of it. A battle between the status quo and pure chaos. I saw Francis Ford Coppola in the streets of New York, like I related to in that movie, St. Mark's and Second Avenue, walking with a cane and a young Asian assistant. Appeared from the vapor of 33 St. Mark's, halting out front where Jim's Spa used to be, to hail a cab. I thought of saying I loved Megalopolis, doing the calculations in my head, but didn't want to bother this guy with changing my life by giving me a career. He worked with Brando, which started me on poetry down the street from where Auden resided, right after Trump got elected for the second time. Did you know the middle word in life is if? Cutting the cake of Cuba with Lee Strasberg, Hyman Roth. Instead, I didn't say anything, having learned my lesson from past experience with Wallace Shawn. Smoked my way into Ottendorfer instead, where I hyperventilated, combusting between the stacks when Ashley came to comfort me. I couldn't settle down. I was wired from my failure to at least try to say hi. It was like Jack Hirschman. There was a mutual recognition across generations. We went to a corner deli across from St. Mark's where I found a silver Susan B. Anthony dollar on the counter, which I took to be a good omen. I went to work where I forgot I'd traded my shift, so I walked Ashley to Lucienne, where she was meeting her friend for dinner. Then I continued on to Otto Shrunken Head open mic, where I played two songs plus one bonus because I went on last. It was like Godfather 2, where young Vito, making his name on the streets of New York, sees Don Ciccio in Little Italy. Checking Instagram, I see he's in town to do Colbert. Then I swing by Punjab Deli to stuff eight $1 bills in the tip jar to pay for a meal which I walked out on before my leg got fucked up to repair my karma. Minus phony $1 bill that got rejected the other day at the bodega under a train, where I think the guy gave it to me when he changed a 10 with 8 ones. Going cross-eyed like Robert Duncan, I cast Doomblade. On Elon. Watching DVDs. I am already what makes me old. 98% of my neighborhood voted for Trump. The smoke of chance was in the air as Van Helsing slipped into his carriage. Once again, I befouled the crossroads of destiny as all mixed up. The city had unified against me. I was cut to pieces in the opposing directions of fate. 11/15/24. Time served. I had every right to be pissed off. This guy's wearing two pairs of sunglasses at once. Those were unrelated sentiments, but I didn't want to separate them. Let's get rich as fuck off of death. Circling the metropolis in my personally branded helicopter. A donde time spent, time served. I'll bet she's expensive. The bears ran in to the old man that has food. They play with our lives as if for sport. We are but the toys of the gods. 11/16/24. We are wrapped up with each other in eternity. You are the music of my soul. Noam Chomsky has lost permanent use of his voice. 11/18/24. Real smash cut. Smash cut. Real life platoon in Afghanistan trees. A portrait across decades of American power, as only they could see it from their vantage at Yale. Lost his mind from smoking all that weed, and the movie was coming in from every which way. They were all metaphors for or reflections of the Vietnam War, where America perceived its loss of innocence, dragged there by Bell helicopter, Halliburton, Enron, Palantir, war economy, bloodlust, berserker mode. Some folks call it a Kaiser blade. Who was better at impressions, me or my brother? Who was funnier? Who was smarter? Who was more successful? He wants to know how they could facilitate that. Deliverance was a Vietnam metaphor. Straw dogs indicated fascism and male control over women's bodies. The post grad fellow eliminates the raping incel laborer class with cunning, a bear trap, and a shotgun, coming into his own as a human being through an orgy of violence. As Gen Z men have voted themselves into World War III and reinstatement of the draft out of naive disapprehension of geopolitical balance and how Spurglord crypto bros want to throw it into turmoil for their own personal power grab. All roads lead back to that moment. The story is war for the foreseeable future, including the octagon cage. But poetry is the greatest way to be in love. As we chirp each other secret messages from microphone submersibles in our concentrated center of a city, inspired to highest intonations of being by one another's raw animus. He'll show up somewhere big in the culture further on down the line, having a manic episode in the stacks. Where did you get your top? I slept like a baby, half browsing the Y axis. She should have ran away with the beatnik rather than making the safe choice. But if you put no effort into it at all, neither will anyone else. You can't disappear from the flock, training a nation of young soy boys for domestic combat. Of course, Barnes shoots Elias. He's inhibiting their capacity for murder, which in the business of death, there are quotas. 11/20/24. It's all part of the show. Should have turned Coppola onto vlogging. Pitched him, hey, why not direct the next season of my life? Scenes from a Life, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The nitrates in the bacon will probably give you colorectal cancer. You don't need to be so hard on things all the time. Like Biden zooming through Delaware on Amtrak, composing La Recherche on Hunter's laptop in the French countryside laced with psychedelic horse shit. All right, maybe that's enough for now. Yeah, this goes on for a while. Well, anyway, that was my election sequence. I wanted to get that down. I read it before. We blew it, Billy. We blew it. I want a private jet, okay? I'm selling out. We have to build a billionaire streaming open mic empire. Okay? This is it. Rotcore International. We're going to become the News Corps of poetry open mics. Of poetry open mics, of small press publishing, of streaming, of I guess I should. How can I get my video? How can I get my poetry into a video game streaming place? Because that seems like that's where the audience is. That's where the culture is. The fringe is the center, right? The fringe is the center, and that includes fucking when it comes to point of view and truth. Is it's like the most whacked out. Let's obsess over aliens and the JFK assassination and what really happened. Let's not worry about why Elon Musk has $400 billion or they're floating him as Speaker of the House, which is insane. Apparently, the Speaker of the House does not have to be an elected representative. They could literally appoint anybody, including somebody not born in this country. So it could be Elon Musk. They're talking about it. They're floating it. It's going to be hard. I mean, I was going to try to stay unbothered during the next Trump insanity, the Trump cold shower, the Trump. I can hold my breath for a long time. I mean, that's how it felt the first time. It felt. I don't think people really remember the sense of relief, and the Trump people are so low consciousness they don't even perceive it. They don't even perceive the danger that they're in. They're so low consciousness that they're just walking around. They don't really realize the causes of why anything costs what it costs or why things are as expensive or what tariffs do. They don't give a fuck. They're not worried about that. They're eating carcinogenic food, and because they're so low consciousness, their bodies can just like assimilate all of this like tough rawhide and just like eat beef jerky, chaw, Mountain Dew, Code Red, Cracker Barrel. I don't know. What the hell did people eat? Wendy's, Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, Baconators, Pepsi, 2 liters, 2 liters of Coke, Diet Coke. Put some more aspartame in there. Could I get extra aspartame? Could I get some aspartame on my Impossible Burger? I need more MSG on my stuffed crust blue cheese ranch. God bless America. It's the great. You have the freedom to just slaughter your intestines with bad food. You have you have the freedom to commit suicide by eating. It's the greatest way to die. It's the closest we can get to sex without having to get the consent of you just kill all the animals. People have no compunction about that. You'll just kill a cow for a cheeseburger. But when Luigi Mangione kills a healthcare CEO, it's like, whoa, this guy is it's Sacco and Vanzetti. It's what it is. Just like Allen Ginsberg said, right? What did he say about it, Sacco and Vanzetti? Let's look that up because I feel like Luigi Mangione has strong Sacco and Vanzetti energy. It's in America, right? Sacco and Vanzetti must not die or something. Yeah, there you go. Sacco and Vanzetti must not die. America, Sacco and Vanzetti must not die. America, Luigi Mangione must not die. I mean, this poem is. I haven't got a Chinaman's chance. Even fucking Allen Ginsberg is making Chinaman jokes. The racist. There it is. America, Sacco and Vanzetti must not die. America saved the Spanish loyalists. So this is probably a bunch of like super lib causes from like 1930 or something. Here we go. Oh, it's got or Israel. America, I am the Scottsboro Boys. So this Luigi Mangione will be another figure like this. He'll just be somebody that like maybe he'll be remembered, maybe not. But somebody's got to fight back. Somebody's got to save the fucking planet. The wealth inequality. It's the wealth inequality, stupid. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's the wealth inequality, stupid. What's the matter with you? What are you fucking stupid? What are you stupid? Get it through your fucking head. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Get it through your fucking head. I try to speak to these people on their own terms, but it doesn't work. They're not listening. They don't care. What do I do with my fucking lighter? God damn it. So we're not going to solve the wealth inequality by putting the world's richest man as like a shadow puppeteer of our. He's not even a shadow puppeteer. He's literally just like he's like Malkovich. Everybody sees him more than they see the puppets. And he's not a good puppeteer, you know. Like if you're gonna be a puppeteer, be Jim Henson or be Mister Rogers or Lamb Chop. Don't be Putin. Don't be a political puppeteer. Don't be Elon. Stay out of it. It's none of your fucking business. There's an ethical deregulation that's happening too. It's like this guy doesn't seem to have any compunction or um reserve whatsoever about like overstepping his boundaries or no one is ever maybe it's not appropriate to donate that much fucking money. I mean, the Koch brothers have been doing it right for years. The shocking thing is how cheap the fucking government is. It's like it doesn't take a lot to bribe these people and get them in your pocket. It's like a few $1,000,000, a few $100,000, and like they'll do whatever you want. Considering how much power that is, how much power the U.S. government has, or at least seems to have, how much money is at stake, right? Like Elon and Trump, they both kind of got rich off of government contracts. They're both welfare queens, essentially. They're really the biggest welfare queens that have ever lived. Um, and everybody knows it. We have socialism for the goddamn rich. What the fuck happened to my lighter? Hold on. There it is. Okay. Some physical comedy for everybody. I don't know. I think I'm going to go to some more stand-up comedy open mics tonight. There's just not that, where's the poetry at? I don't know. Is it out there? Somebody tell me. If there's a poetry open mic, let me know. But unfortunately, there's 2 free stand-up comedy open mics, so we have to go fight the info war. I think now that they won the election, I don't think people are as scared as they were. Like the first time Trump got elected, there was this real edginess about, are we going to get canceled? And I had that line in my poem about we're all going to get canceled again. That was a joke because it doesn't really feel that way. Actually, it doesn't feel. It feels like that didn't work. In a certain way, the power that had kind of just like died when Trump won again. Because obviously, trying to cancel people does not work. They tried to make Matt Gaetz the goddamn attorney general. And this Hegseth guy is like Kavanaugh on steroids. So it's a crazy game. It's a crazy game. Anyway, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't admit that on the internet. What can I do? What should I do? I'd like to go home for the holidays. I'm trying to set up this fucking dental appointment so I can just get my shit fixed. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Go back to the beginning. There was a lot of class rage. I've been screaming it for a decade that just like New York City doesn't care about class. The pseudo political movement, which was really like a lifestyle movement and sort of like a professional ambition. Professional ambition underlined the whole thing. People were making their careers on wokeness. That became anybody who wants a job in any kind of like intellectual humanities, whatever, the jobs that people would prefer. Anybody who's smart, who's not like an engineer, but these jobs are not like pragmatic. They're all like, literature professor or whatever. I don't know. Fucking work for Google or worked for some magazine or something. They just people wanted those jobs, and so they, uh, made this whole political fucking thing. But we don't really have the luxury to do that anymore. I mean, these guys are going in there with real intention. They haven't even, like I said, the guy hasn't even fucking sworn in yet, and they're already like bowling over the fucking the House of Representatives. And all right, there was one other thing. What was it? Let me look at my thing here real fast. Oh yeah, crypto. I did say that already. Fuck. All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys for watching. Is there anything else I need to talk about? I'm going to do 2 hours exactly. So there's 4.5 minutes. Let me think about. Now now I'm nervous and I'm embarrassed because there's 4 people watching. I have this huge audience. What am I going to say? Holy shit. I need to end on some kind of strong note. Well, maybe I'll read something more recent because I've been writing so much. Okay. This is what I wrote yesterday. Let me see if I can read this. 12/19/24. Dead nuts. Soldier Boy tell 'em. In my headbound queue, I'm seeing the world for the first time these days. Might not be a bad time to get out of town for a little while. Dead nuts. Capitalist bummer. This was supposed to be the 60s or the 20s. I forget which, maybe both. Actually, it's the 30s. We'll need a war to get us out. The rich are stealing the labor of the poor. Driver mouth giving anti advice. I've thrown away my stupid life on this shit. He picks up to sell me gummies, carrying his med kit. Mayday, mayday. Happy moments flow freely from the sleepy city. We'll be there every Monday, never taking a break, because it's our best chance of experience that anybody's given us. Okay, well, uh, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I've just been telling you and telling you and telling you. I've been warning you. I've been providing hilarious, high value, original, artistic, linguistic content for years. Watch my new vlog. The reviews are kind of low. I thought it was a good vlog. Maybe I'll release my stand-up comedy set from yesterday with all my It feels like now's the time to be controversial. On the left, the left has got to figure out a way to be edgy and cool again. And so we've got to outflank the right somehow. We have the advantage. I mean, traditionally, we are cooler. They are not cool. That's like the mind that they have to like own all of the systems of like communication to like sell that lie. They had to own like all of the devices. They had to buy fucking Twitter and own Instagram. All the lamest, most rizless Bezos and Zuckerberg and Musk, just the most rizless like Spurg Lord, no style, no charisma, zero charisma factor. They had to buy everything and piss all everybody's fucking parade by electing the ultimate just like lame buzzkill of a it's almost like a spite vote. Like, okay, these woke left people don't like us. Well, I'm gonna buy fucking Twitter and I'm gonna like become like ultra right wing and just like troll the fuck out of them and torture them by the government, use that to torture them because they don't like me, because I'm not cool, because I'm just a piece of shit. I'm just a lumpy white oatmeal piece of shit. Uh, and it's like all of them: Rogan, Dana White, Jake Paul, the whole fucking. It's just like YouTube and has made stars out of like I don't know, just like this weird they're like a concoction of just like I guess they're anti what you typically see in the media. They're kind of like salt of the earth. They're anti-establishment. They're just folks. They're kind of dumb. They're kind of simpletons. Like that's you're innocent or something. Oh, if you're Theo Vaughn, you're just sort of apolitical, or you just kind of have this like, aw shucks, I don't really. But then you're like a Trumper. It's like, well, he voted for Trump. He fucking had Trump in his show. Like, you're not, like Rogan. I don't really think they were looking at the big picture in a certain way. I think they got so caught up in the idea that like the Democrats are super corrupt and like Trump was going to be like this like innovative uh response to that, like this innovative like anti-corruption, anti-establishment. And it's like bringing in the richest guy in the fucking world to like call the shots in sort of an unprecedented way, like he's the fucking monarch of this country in unelected as well. um it's not exactly draining the fucking swamp, considering this guy gets rich off government contracts. A lot of his wealth, a lot of his company, Tesla, fucking whatever, SpaceX, is basically like they privatized NASA. NASA was this like government, great society era thing. Kennedy, fucking the best and the brightest, the right stuff type thing. SpaceX, I don't even know what the fuck it is. It's like this cosplay of fucking Star Trek or something. Uh Space Camp. All billionaires just want to go to space camp. It's so boring to talk about. I mean, I think Luigi had the solution. What how else are you going to neutralize? How else are you going to neutralize Elon Musk? How he's not going to lose his money. How how are you going to get rid of Elon Musk? Like at this point, here's a person who doesn't have any reservations about overstepping the boundaries, doing things he's not supposed to do, wielding undue amounts of power, breaking stuff. I don't know why these guys thrive on chaos. I don't know why that's like an alpha capitalist free market thing. Just like chaos, we need chaos. Chaos is good. Chaos, chaos, chaos. Like we make money off chaos. I guess in chaos, people panic, people are afraid. You can take advantage of them if you're like an unreactive douchebag who just is super alpha and like doesn't know any better. If you're delusionally confident and just like if you're just like frankly stupidly confident, if you're too confident to know better, it kind of serves you well in this life. Even though you might die young, you kind of need that's the thing that I feel like I was missing. I was never the kind of person like in a class, in an acting class or whatever. I'm never gonna be the guy that gets up first. And like I'm gonna be in every like in my improv classes. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna be in every fucking scene. It was like I was always the person that like went last. I was always kind of most afraid, most like I didn't want to like hog the spotlight, or I was nervous or this or that. It's like in order to make it, you kind of have to just be brazen. You kind of have to have like a lack of awareness. And women like you better. When women talk about confidence, what I've noticed, when I'm just like idiotically confident, that's when women are like, whoa, who is this hot guy? In my normal mode, it's like I have like a self assurance that's based on like facts and what I know and like sensitivity and like there's allowing room for doubt. Elon Musk doesn't have that. He thinks he is God's gift to everything, and he's the greatest genius that ever lived. And he's trying to be Alexander the Great. I guarantee you, he's thinking to himself, he is a world conquest type figure. You can tell he just has that lack of accountability and lack of care about anybody else, and just huge distorted sense of his own dimensions. And that serves you well, particularly in our society right now. People like that have been rewriting the rules to serve themselves more pronouncedly since Reagan. The 20th century America, there was this kind of like protection for the little guy a little bit. There was a little bit of like the priority was like, let's try to improve things for everybody, right? FDR was trying to pass the second Bill of Rights, which was like the right to housing, the right to food, the right to health care. That was going to like enshrine that shit in the Constitution. So everybody would just have that stuff. And they axed it. They said we can't have that in this country, in this capitalist fucking country. We're not commies, god damn it. And everything since then, there's been rich people like Elon Musk dumping tons of their own money into politics, into shaping ideology, shaping narrative, so people don't ask questions. They just go, yeah, Bitcoin, yeah, Mars, yeah, fucking socialism's bad, government's bad. They don't even know what socialism is. They don't even know what the fuck it is. Government welfares are not socialism. All socialism means is that the workers own more of the fucking means of production and utilities and shit like that. It does not mean government spending. Like there should be a public well-being. As a human race, I think most of us recognize this. It's just the ultra rich are trying to push this competitive kill or be killed mentality because that's how they got fucking rich, and that's how they keep everybody destabilized and fighting with each other and keep themselves on top because they're the biggest assholes. Our society just rewards the biggest assholes. And women support that because they like those guys. They like guys who are assholes, who are fucking hugely entitled. And those are the only guys that are going to get ahead in this society. Unless you're a fucking nerd who's just like a freak of coding or something. And in that case, you're probably some South Park idiot who's like a libertarian and you're a Trumper anyway. You're an Elon Musk crypto retard. You're probably not a poet. You're probably not a literature. Literary men are dying, okay? We're dying out. We're an endangered fucking species. We're going extinct. I like being a rare, powerful fucking animal. I feel like a goddamn panther sometimes. I'm exotic and dangerous. The last of a dying breed. In the wild. I mean, Gen Z guys do not look like this. They're very mute. All style now is just like very mute. Black t-shirt, black jean, white shoe, broccoli hair. It's like what the fuck? They all have like Giga Chad looks mewing. They're all mewing. They're all looks maxing. They have Mog face. They have like some kind of like Drake, like super manicured facial hair, broccoli hair. They don't have this kind of I don't know, texture. There's no fucking texture anymore. Everything's minimalistic and sans serif. All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. Catch me at the Laugh Castle tonight. We'll be yucking it up with my hottest takes. God bless you. Keep fighting. Keep listening. Radicalize yourself. Start paying attention. It's all on YouTube. Watch Mark Fisher. Watch Naomi Klein. Watch Catherine Liu. Watch who's that guy? The Bulwark. He's pretty good. Tim, whatever his name is. Watch Democracy Now. Watch uh Watch scenes from my life. Watch my vlogs, god damn it. Make me rich and famous so I don't have to fucking live this way anymore. Elon Musk has $400 billion. Could I just have one of those $1 billion? Even 1 million, just $1 million. That is such a fraction of nothing to that man. I could live for the rest of my I computed it. I could live for the rest of my life on $2.2 million. If I could live on the interest, right? If you have, let's say you have $2 million in the bank, is it possible to get like what is your interest rate at a bank? What's your average interest rate like on a savings account? Let's see. 0.42%. Okay, so that's not a lot. 0.46%. So if you had $1 million in the bank, 0.46% would be how much money? Well, 1% would be $10,000, I guess, right? So I guess it's not that much money. It'd be $4,600 a year. That's about how much I'm making right now. I could make that for doing absolutely nothing if I had $2 million in the bank. If I computed it, I could live for the rest of my life for $2.2 million. Elon Musk, I'm petitioning you now. That would be the best $2.2 million you've ever spent, other than the $130 million you spent by the United States government. Uh why didn't somebody else buy it? Why didn't Mark Cuban buy it? Or there's tons of fucking Springsteen. You could have bought that. You're a billionaire, right? Springsteen, you're so fucking political. Why don't you just Elon Musk your way into the goddamn House of Representatives? Speaker of the House, Bruce Springsteen, an unelected official. Well, anyway, he probably would get elected. I don't know. People separate the art from the artist here all the time. Chris Christie loves Bruce Springsteen. Chris Chris. I'm sure there's tons and tons of right wing Trump voter rich guys in the Springsteen floor seats and platinum level club. They've redesigned the whole society for themselves. The private jet class of people. Look at the way that the rest of us travel. It's like the fucking Titanic. You have first class. They have like leg room. They get like, you know, lobster or I don't even know what the hell they get. In coach, you're like, it's like an air Greyhound. You don't have any room to fucking do anything. And you're crammed in there with all the fucking deplorables. Apparently, well, air travel is a good indication because people are waking up. The way that people used to travel on airplanes in like the 60s and 70s was very like luxurious. There was like good food. There was like fucking a lounge and like piano player. There was live entertainment. You could like get up and walk around. It was like a hotel fucking, cocktail lounge in there. Now it is literally like being on Con Air. So that's what we've lost. That's an emblem. If you're rich, you can afford to buy your way out of that. You fly private, you rent a private jet, you're in first class, whatever it may be. The rest of us are taking the Chinatown bus. And we need to wake up to how much money there really is. I mean, people in this country have gotten used to living destitute. It's desolation row. We're we're proud of it or something. It's part of what makes us like these martyred, naughty, methed out hard asses. Like we're in Richard Avedon's West meets like face tattoo fucking opioid epidemic. Insane clown fucking gathering of the but one thing is like you see the infrastructure of China, particularly like the high speed some of these cities that have literally sprung up in like the last 20 years. are nuts. They're like, like this arena that they just built for the LA Kings or whatever. That's like a smart arena. Some of these cities and the urban design and the high speed rail infrastructure they have. I mean, I saw, from New York to Chicago, I think the train here is like, I don't even know. It's hours and hours. It might even be days. It might be 24 hours. But it's like literally they have a train in China that goes the same distance in like, 4 hours or something. It's like the United States is living in like infrastructure from like the 1970s. They stopped building anything worthwhile in like the 70s. And we're living in like the decaying. That's why everybody wants to buy a brownstone or some, in the city, because there's literally nothing of quality that they're building anymore. There's no we're just caught in some kind of, and that very well could be a regulation zoning thing, but it's also like they don't want to spend any money. They want to maximize their profits. There's no there's no philosophical reason to like invest in the public good or like the public infrastructure, the public well-being, or just like the common good. There's no sense of like everybody needs to do well. We're all in just like this rat race in our own lane, hyper competing with each other, trying to beat each other, and now we really are in this like fight for survival where it's just like nobody has anything to feel good about. So you're just hyper jealous of everything that happens on, so oh, that person got a better apartment than me. They've got 3 kids, they're married, they're traveling, they've got a whatever it is. I have nothing, I can't afford rent, I can't afford food, blah blah blah. So but at the same time, this country creates more wealth than our economy is the biggest in the world, like by far, and we're living and it's just not being reinvested. Nothing is being fixed, nothing is being, and for some reason, bad ideas are just, it's because maybe rich people's kids shouldn't run everything. Maybe rich people's kids shouldn't be the only people who can start businesses. That's not exactly a meritocracy. That's not exactly a place where the best ideas are going to win out. That's a place where the only people who can survive are people who are born rich. And a lot of them do not have what it takes to make something real that works. They're not scrappy. You're not making something succeed based on functionality. You're making something succeed based on you have an endless supply of money that you inherited to pour into an idea that doesn't work. Whereas if you actually have an idea, you can't even get off the ground because it's too expensive to even get started because you have to work your whole fucking life to even, like if I wanted to start a fucking venue in New York City, how would I do it? I have nothing. I have no fucking money. But if I was some rich person's kid, I could do anything. I just start some fucking venue in Dime Square or something. Anyway, so that's part of the reason why there's no fucking good music anymore because Gracie Abrams is J.J. Abrams' fucking kid, and they just force feed us all this shit. The legacy media and even fucking social media, it's just pay to play, pay to be seen. Look at me. I've been fucking live streaming for years and I have people talk to me about it, so it does like do something for people. And yet I'm just not fed into anything that matters. I'm not promoted, I'm not platformed, you know. I have people that sort of like straggle in here and there. They go, "Who the fuck is this guy? Why should I listen to this?" I'm working my ass off every second to be immediately entertaining. People walk in, they go, "Oh, what's this? Who's this guy? I never heard of this. This looks fucking ghetto as hell. This isn't Hassan Piker. This isn't fucking Stav. This isn't Adam Friedland. This is fucking just some white guy yapping. Fuck this. Click." Let me watch somebody play video games. Let me watch somebody play Fortnite. Oh, that's what this comedian that went on before me was talking about. He spent his whole like life watching Fortnite streamers. How is that possible? How is that like people literally are going to be culturally shaped by like Fortnite streamers like they were shaped by fucking like Seinfeld. Like that's crazy to me. Like it's generational. I don't know. So I guess I should be on fucking Twitch. YouTube is for oldsters. It's for old people. I need to go where the youth vote is. I don't know. I'm not into the edge lord. It was always a creepy right wing space. That's why I don't do it. I don't want. First of all, I just don't want to be around a bunch of fucking losers that play video games all the time. That's why you're not getting laid. Okay, it's not because of women. It's it's because you're playing video games all the fucking time. Go out into the real world and make something out of yourself. Women will you'll get laid. It's not that hard. Well, it is and it isn't. It is and it isn't. It is hard, but it isn't. The thing is, there's no guidance. You know, like there does need to be like some kind of new program for masculinity. How to be a man in the 21st century by Matt Proctor. Scenes from a life. How to be a sensitive, introspective, not dickhead. You know, and women should not empower these dickheads. Women should look for men that are sensitive, that are compassionate, that have empathy, that are, there is a strength and just like in it's like in Rebel Without a Cause, the way that James Dean is strong. He doesn't really fight back, or it's like it's not about that, it's like it's the fact that he kind of they bully him and it's not like he's a bitch, you know. He's still strong. There's a strength in like not being a bully. There's a strength in not being a trumper. There's a strength in like being compassionate, hang out with Plato, the gay outcast, queer kid, basically. There's a strength in being, you know, the righteous minority and not just being part of the gang and the bullies and the insult comics. You can be strong and be liberal, right? It's not like conservatives have a monopoly on just being like strong and masculine. Like Paul Newman, right? Paul Newman was super democratic. He was like going to the fucking Democratic convention and he's on the floor and shit. I think he was a delegate even, maybe. But he was a liberal. He's a man's man. He's drinking beers and that's totally, and I'll end on this. That's totally what that movie The Verdict is about. Before Mamet became a psycho Trumper, that movie is totally about like a righteous lawyer. He sees that this woman was killed by negligence, basically. The hospitals were trying to cover it up. The businesses, the big corporations, big insurance, pharma, whatever, medical malpractice. And he says, you know what? I'm not going to take the money. I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to just allow them to get away with this. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to fight for this because this woman was fucking killed by this fucking hospital. And he's this kind of like low life. He's lazy. He plays pinball all day. He drinks a beer with an egg in it, a raw egg. I guess that's a Boilermaker or something. Back in those days, working class, these were not sissy. Not that there's anything wrong with being a sissy, but, the working class, there was a place for masculinity. There was a place for because it was built on labor, right? Not that men were the only people that were doing that. Women worked in factories a lot of the time, making clothes or whatever. But now it's like people would get confused. They'd be like, "Wait a minute, that guy's left wing, but he's so macho. Like, what the fuck? Like, shouldn't he be a fucking Trumper? Shouldn't he be like a crypto fucking Bitcoin uh edge lord? Like, isn't that what it means to be like strong or confident or a man or masculine or just to be a bully?" It's like, no, it's there's strength in sympathizing with the underdog, with the underclass, with the poor, with the working poor, with minorities, to some degree. You've been ostracized if you're a man. And definitely like you're not a leader, like Paul Newman, those guys at that time, that was radical for them to be like making films that were progressive liberally and things. That whole generation, 50s, 60s, 70s of actors and filmmakers, right? Marlon Brando, a lot of times he wanted to portray kind of like uh, a kind of a martyr type underdog hero, not just like a cowboy John Wayne fucking character. It was more complicated than that. It was One Eye Jacks. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for watching. I got shit to do. Maybe I'll do 2.5. I mean, I'll just do 2.5, 3.5 more minutes because I'll do an even 2 hours and 30. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Mention me at stand up comedy open mics. Awkwardly call me out in the audience when I'm there about my extremely. It's a niche. I don't know. I don't want to use the word cult because it's not a cult in like the sense of like Waco, Branch Davidian cult. It's more like a cult in the sense of like cult classic, meaning as a small niche but loyal people that I don't know, sort of tune in from time to time. Like how Ed Wood movies are cult movies, or Spinal Tap is a cult movie, or whatever. I always liked cult movies. Generally, that's anything that not all cult movies, but I don't know what is it that spawns a cult movie. It's usually just something like idiosyncratic. It's just like kind of an individual, like UHF or there's a difference. Like comic book movies are not really like cult movies. That's like cult movies, like on a mass scale. When something like that, but it's a similar like rabid fan base or like obsessive fan base or like devoted fan base, where it's like it's kind of like Spinal Tap is like one of those movies that you could just watch 50 times and it I don't know, it just becomes like essential equipment for living. Stories are equipment for living. Pee-wee, Pee-wee's like a cult movie because it just has such a distinct vision. It attracts, I don't know, aesthetic hipsters, people that are connoisseurs, people that are, to me, I don't know, that's what I enjoy in life. I enjoy media. I enjoy culture. Is it the same root? I mean, cult, culture, to have a cult fan base. I don't know what's the difference between making culture and being a cult leader. Ted Bergen's a cult leader. We're all kind of cult leaders, all the open mic hosts. It's almost just like having your own little fucking Isle of Dr. Moreau. The island of Dr. Moreau. So everybody's got to start their own little cult where they have their own little Manson, trance that they cast on everybody, man. I don't know why women don't listen to me. I don't know why. Women do not watch this. Has Ashley scared them all away? If you're a woman and you're watching this, like and subscribe. I don't know. I do it. I'm like Spencer Tracy or Bing Crosby in like one of these movies where he's like a Catholic priest. Like in Clifford. You know how Clifford, like at the end of the movie, he's like a Catholic priest and he's like he works at this orphanage or whatever. Feel like I'm there for the Lost Boys. I'm there for the Bowery Boys. I'm like this kind of fatherly Irish crooning priest who's like, "Oh, I've got to take care of these wayward, toxic, masculine crypto bros trying to sell me weed at the open mic." Comedians are they're the ones who will give you presents at the open mic. Let's just say that. I don't know. I like the abandon of it and the people just throw themselves into it, and it's just such a vast culture and community. And just like the fact that they're willing to be so taboo and so offensive and so antisocial and so fucking I don't know what it is. To me, to some degree, I have the same tendencies. Like Eileen Miles talks about in something about how poets need to create space. Like they sort of like it's not like hostility, but I don't know. There's something about needing an empty room. Or like the audience needs to be like far away from you or like few and far between. Because it's like what you're gonna say, I don't know. When you're in public, an audience can so easily turn into a mob or like you can feel them disagree with you, you can feel their polarization. And a lot of times that will quickly turn into heckling or some kind of like involuntary crowd work that you're drawn into, where like people are yelling shit at you. If you say anything that's like a definite opinion or stance, or I don't know, I have hot takes. I'm trying to reach for something that's like a little bit counter immediate understanding. I'm trying to like get to something that's like maybe doesn't that's like a deeper, more counterintuitive truth or something. Maybe it doesn't sound right now, or most people would go, no, that's definitely not right. But I don't know. I want to search for something that kind of sounds, I don't know, like ulterior ghost harmony or something. But also true, the deeper truth, the deeper thing that other people are not saying, the thing that, everybody can come out with the typical take about, we're in our fuck around and find out era, right? In America, everybody sees that. America's fucked around. Now we're going to find out. We fucked around by voting Trump back in. But in any case, thank you guys for watching. God bless us, everyone. God bless America. Tell your friends, and I don't know. Just have a great day. Have a great holiday. One love. We are the 99%. Class solidarity, everybody. The comedians, honestly, the poets are probably more classist. They're the ones that are. It's more likely, probably, that a poet is going to have generational wealth, maybe, or something like how. Why else would you? It's typically like something that is really only embraced at like elite academic institutions, probably private school, people with private school education, boarding school. I met this lady, and maybe I'll end on this. I met this lady in Vermont. A comedian was talking about this yesterday about Vermont. Vermont has a very interesting kind of political landscape. Bernie, obviously, from there. There's a lot of wealth in Vermont, which creates social programs for the underclasses. So I filmed all these videos for Vermont education system, and they have all these vocational schools that are actually very well funded with 3D printers and shit like that. A lot of good facilities in rural areas that are like Trump areas, but they're well funded because there's socialism in that state. They tax the rich and they redistribute it. But I met this lady in an art gallery up there, and she was talking about how she had to send her kids to private school or something because, like, in private school, just like different things are considered cool. Like it's cool to be like artistic. It's cool to be like smart. It's cool to be like Maddie Healy or fucking Vampire Weekend or something. Whereas like in public school, it's like you're in there with just barbarians. It's like being the fucking zoo, It's just like they're Trumpers, they're face tattoo people, they're bullies. It's not cool to be an intellectual. It's not cool to write poetry, really. People, it's more like everybody's an insult comic, you know? Um, and so, a lot of the people who are able to make their way in poetry world, it's like they've never necessarily left the fucking institutional kind of cradle and just like the safe space of like everybody walking on eggshells about, you know, whatever the political correctness du jour thing is, cause celebre, that shit. I mean, there's an insensitivity and a boorishness to public schools. This lady was just saying that her kid gets bullied in the public school, so she had to pay all this money to send her kid to fucking private school in Connecticut or some shit. And I don't know. It's just more class war, class consciousness. Everybody, that's our goal for 2024, 5, and onward. Wake up the class consciousness in this goddamn country and make it cool again. There is no working class, there's retail and there's just like a service class of people that really can't even make ends meet. Uber drivers, retail, fast food workers, Whole Foods, whatever the hell it is. They're not getting a commission. Their minimum wage is not enough to live on. The rent is too damn high. We're being exploited and bilked. It's the fleecing of America. We're being skinned alive by corporate entities. All right. Anyway, thank you for watching. Good luck out there. And we'll talk to you soon. Well, I'll be back on this weekend probably. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm taking it 1 minute at a time here. The nuclear clock. We're a fraction of a hair. We're, as Robert Evans would say, I can't say it. I'm not going to say it, but as Robert Evans would say, we're a see you next Tuesday hair away from apocalypse. So it's been a wild ride. What a wild ride it's been, everybody. What a wild ride it's been. Human race, what a wild ride it's been. Like and subscribe. Go back and watch from the beginning if you're just now tuning in. I know it's not live, but I turned off the chat anyway. So what this could have been pre-recorded. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know if this was live. This could have been filmed yesterday. This could have been filmed 6 months ago. I could be in the future right now. I'm a time traveler, everybody. I'm delivering messages from the future through my YouTube vlog. All right. Thank you for watching. God bless you and God bless America, I guess. God bless, us everyone. Tiny Tim. Amen. Avita saying goodbye.